everybody. Much love and respect. This video's come to us by a channel called Rock and Roll True Stories.
Candlebox is a band that critics, fellow musicians,
and it's going to be about Candlebox. As always, like, comment, and subscribe to the video. Coming at you with another Manbaer Minute. Ooh, it can get a little strange in that Manbaer Minute. You know, I do that on TikTok. I just get musical. Music's always been like something that's always been like, you know, dear to me. I saw this videos sometimes when I do them, I'll just like pick them out by the title and just do them on the fly. But this one was actually in my feed, and I just had to sit down and do one on it. I actually watched it ahead of time, so I cheated. I kind of cheated, sort of. But no, I'm a big fan, you know, especially with my having kiddos and all. I always, you know, think about core memories and how they're important in life. But without delay, let me go ahead and explain. Candlebox is just like one of them bands that were like back in the early 90s, and they kind of appealed to me because, you know, hard rock guitars and, you know, good stuff like that. Plus, when I was living up in Virginia on the Eastern Shore, I had a chance to go see this band, you know, live for free. It was freaking badass. They jam. They did all the freaking cool songs that were relevant at the time, you know. They did the Far Behind, Changes. They did You. Oh, I love that freaking song. But let's go ahead and get into the video.
and some in the music industry wrote off as being derivative, using their connections with music.
Most people don't even know how to spell derivative.
As well as the popularity of the Seattle music scene to further their own career. Was it an accurate assessment? Well, that's for you guys to decide. I'm just here to tell their story. Frontman Kevin Martin perfectly summarized the early part of the band's career, telling author Mark Yarm, "We were the red-headed stepchild. We were in the right place at the right time. Fortunately, our music had its own voice. Unfortunately, everybody believed that we had moved there to steal the sound."
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know. I didn't even know at the you know, at the onset, or, you know, at the beginning of this video, I didn't really know where these guys came from. I thought they were one of them California bands, but come to find out, these guys are from Seattle as well.
Their hugely successful debut record,
and Beavis and Butthead used to say a lot of cool stuff comes out of Seattle.
Guitarist Peter Klett, bassist Barty Martin, and drummer Scott Mercado. All of the band members grew up in and around Seattle, with the exception of frontman Kevin Martin, who previously lived in San Antonio, Texas.
Hey.
He moved to Seattle at the age of 14.
Guy kind of looks like Y2J nowadays.
Around 1984 and 1985, long before grunge took over the world. It's important to note that the members of Candlebox...
And it seemed like back in them times, especially how I viewed it, a lot of people were riding the ball bag of grunge. When in actuality, you can kind of say that most of that shit kind of came out in '89. You know, and didn't really hit the mainstream, you know, till about like 90. Because I was watching skate videos that had Sonic Youth in them, and it's like, you know, most of these Seattle bands don't really get much love, you know, like your quintessential Nirvanas and Soundgardens and your Pearl Jams and, you know, the big four, you know, your Alice in Chains.
We're also on average 5 years younger than a lot of the other bands like Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden, and Alice in Chains.
Bitchin' bands, by the way.
Big during the early 90s.
Oh yeah,
During his
huge.
time in Texas, Kevin Martin was influenced by punk groups like Black Flag and Dead Kennedys.
Nice.
And by his own admission, he claimed that moving to Seattle was kind of like a culture shock, because he was surprised by the type of
I could see that.
He recalls seeing one show in Seattle that
you
the
know.
British band The Cult played. Which
oh man, Ian Ashbury. Whoa, I didn't know that dude wore makeup. Yeah, they jam. Old Ian Ashbury.
Between 85 and 90, Martin played drums in a variety of Seattle bands who played punk all the way to jazz rock fusion, with names like RYPD, Social Smash, and Dolly's Opera. He met drummer Scott Mercado when he crashed Martin's 16th birthday party. But musically, they didn't actually get together until May of 91, forming the group Uncle Duke. Mercado went to school to
Uncle Duke.
Guitarist Peter Klett joined the duo in September
Duke
of 91,
of Earl.
while bassist Barty Martin joined the trio in December of 91, and the band changed their name to Candlebox. All the members up until this point had played in their fair share of groups, with Mercado being on average...
You know, I subscribe to this guy. He has some pretty knowledgeable insights, especially when it comes to rock music. Shout out to to his channel.
4 to 5 years older than the other members. So where did the name Candlebox come from? Well, the members admitted they liked the phrase boxed in like candles, borrowing from the Midnight Oil song Tin Legs and Tin Minds.
Midnight Oil. The beds are burning, guys.
Someone in the band one day suggested Candlebox, and thus the name was born. They only played something like 25 gigs before recording their major label debut. One of the questions you may have about Candlebox is what kind of relationship did they have with their counterparts like Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains and Soundgarden?
Well, no, not really.
That Kevin Martin gave to a German website, Grungery, he talked about it in detail.
He gave it to the German magazine, Der Spiegel.
Chris Cornell's first wife and manager, Susan Silver, also worked.
Oh, right on.
She managed the shoe store while having her own music management company behind the building. That's how Martin met Chris Cornell.
Hell yeah, Soundgarden.
A shoe store called John Fluvok. So that's how I met Chris. That's how I met
Das
Andy Wood. That's how I
Fluvok.
met Lane Staley.
Cha.
That's how I met Jerry Cantrell. It was really amazing for me to meet guys that I admired musically, and at the same time, I was playing drums in a band. I never thought it would turn into a friendship.
Yes, to the
I was so much
shoes.
younger. Martin
9 to
admitted
the
that Andrew
music.
Wood and
9.
Malfunction probably influenced
Whoa.
the most out of all the Seattle bands.
Hell nah, they got the Kiss makeup on. No, I think everybody had that kind of a hook where they were wearing some type of, theatrical makeup.
Same scene musically as the big four bands from Seattle,
Right.
and that was also due to the fact that they were 5 to 6 years younger than those guys as well. Candlebox's inspiration.
That and them so-called big four bands were backed by major labels, of course.
Were also said to be far more ranging, going back all the way to the 60s.
I could see it. I could see it because Candlebox had their own sound. Wouldn't really call it grungy. I mean, because it's basically all hard rock to me.
Because industry people would come up to Seattle, where if we lived in Idaho or something, that wouldn't have happened.
I could see it. I could definitely see that. If they were like somewhere in like Boise, Idaho, they probably would have never landed on the map.
What ended up being You, which was one of the songs that did really well.
Good song.
When we were improvising, the first hour we were together, I had a rough song idea that became Far Behind, and I think we worked on that night too. It was by the spring of '92. The
And
band
Cover Me is a good one too.
demo tape that was scrapped together with whatever little money the members had. Martin admitted the demo tape sounded like a mix between Aerosmith and Rush. It consisted of the songs You and Far Behind, the only songs that actually
Good songs.
made their debut record.
Oh yeah, I remember Beavis and Butthead making fun of these videos. Even though Beavis and Butthead didn't like them, I still thought they jammed. There was a lot of freaking bands that Beavis and Butthead freaking ripped on that I thought were pretty cool.
Kevin Martin, like I said, worked at a shoe store. He also worked as a janitor.
Like Crowbar.
It paid for my apartment and gave me $100 spending money. Boy, it was a pain in the ass vacuuming stairs. But it was Barty Martin who probably had the most interesting job delivering pizza to strippers.
Barty
He
Martin.
worked as a busboy and at Tower Records. He also worked at a stone manufacturing company, and it wasn't out of the ordinary for him to come to practice covering soot. Scott Mercado, meanwhile, worked at an espresso shop. He taught drum lessons out of his home, and he also worked as an office manager. But it was the band's manager
multiple jobs, kind of like me.
his card to help finance the recording sessions for their demo tape. A tape that
You gotta have multiple jobs nowadays, man. That side hustle.
Played with Queensryche, helped the band record their demo.
Right on.
Told Mark
Queensryche jam.
When Kevin was singing Far Behind in the studio, I looked at their then manager and said, "These guys are going to make us rich."
Good song. I mean, yeah, it definitely got a lot of airplay. Especially in the freaking radio markets that I lived in the big cities, like near Tampa. They played the shit out of this song. And a little nugget, that song was like in a Kenny Powers episode.
Just happened to have A&R people in attendance.
I'm Tom Cruise.
Despite this, the audiences seemed to love their music. They sold their demo tape at these gigs, selling all 600.
That's old school.
in the first 2 months.
Selling the tapes out the back of your trunk type ish. That's old school.
Paramount Theater before nabbing a major record deal. Then in September of '92, Candlebox nabbed a spot on the Bumbershoot Festival showcase, which was sponsored by the music
Man, and that
song
just kind of
publishers
like takes
at the
me back.
off-ramps.
I saw them live, and bro, they just like I forgot who else was on the ticket, but my dad was with me that day. Matter of fact, he was the one who took me to the show, and Candlebox is actually one of them bands that they even jam live. They're good on recording, but they're just as good live. Yeah, especially it was a smaller venue. It was nice.
Seattle. The idea was that a bunch of bands were going to play, and reps from the labels would choose who gets to do a showcase a month later in Los Angeles. When Candlebox flew to LA to play the showcase a month later, 5 record labels wanted to sign them. The band chose to sign with Madonna's newly established label, Maverick Records. They became the label's first signed act. They chose Maverick because they were a reasonably small operation with only 30 employees.
Plus, it's
But they
kind of
also had
it was backed
distribution
by
from Warner
Madonna,
Brothers.
and
They also
yeah, if they
felt
had
that the
ties to
record
Warner
would get a
Brothers,
lot
good
of
play.
support and be a priority. Interestingly, though, Maverick didn't flaunt Candlebox's Seattle connections in promoting the group's first album, with Martin admitting to the Daily Herald, "We were really not into the punk side of Nirvana or the really heavy side of Soundgarden or the deep side of Alice in Chains. We're just kind of a rock and roll band, I guess." He later admitted that when the band
Definitely.
did become famous, people were actually surprised to learn they were from Seattle. There was also the sense in the press around 1993 that being a band from Seattle was so cliche. And in fact, before Candlebox got signed,
Yeah, and
from
I
Seattle.
could totally see that. Where it was like a lot of bands were getting pigeonholed into that. Oh man, here comes another band out of Seattle again. Like your Stone Temple Pilots. I think a few more. Can't really think of them right off the top of the dome. But a lot of these bands that they slept on, they're really good from that area. Were your Mud Honeys, or Melvins, or even like I said, like Sonic Youth. But when people think of like grunge music, they tend to think of the Big Four. I could see that.
Seattle, they would likely never nab a recording deal because they
Oh,
were from
definitely.
Seattle. While it appeared that audiences in Seattle liked the band, it was local rock journalists, club promoters, and even their fellow bands who seemed to hate them.
What?
Candlebox were quickly being accused of being from LA
No
and
way.
choosing to move to Seattle after the music scene
Fellow
took off,
musicians did
and
not
it
like
probably
them.
didn't
Huh.
help that Courtney Love repeated this lie as well. Also,
Oh
the
man,
is that
she
most
she
fellow
she used to hose on a lot of
Los
other
Angeles
bands as
had no
well.
address listed on the back of the tape. Others accused the band of sleeping with Madonna when
Eh, eh,
well,
eh,
they
eh.
didn't meet the pop star
I mean,
until
why
after
not?
the
She had a
record came
book
out.
on
They were
that
also
stuff that
accused of
she
being
used to
rich
sleep
kids
around
whose
with.
parents financed their career. And bassist Elizabeth Davis from the Seattle group 7-Year Bitch shared a
Oh
lot of
man,
sentiment around Seattle's music
yeah,
scene.
they were a
It's like the
jamming
Fort
band,
Worth
old
Star
7 Year
Telegram.
Itch.
It's like they came out of nowhere and got so popular
Bands
that
like
people couldn't sit it.
L7 and
As
yeah.
for Courtney Love, the band did have some
Oh
fun with her
dude.
whole criticism of the group
And to
rocking
think
around
that Kurt
tokens.
Cobain
It
used
made
to
most
have to
appears that
nail
they're dressed
that.
up as Courtney Love when
Oh
they were
no,
interviewed
what
by
the
the
heck
Seattle
is this
publication
crap,
Rock.
babies?
As for how the band felt about all the criticism from fellow Seattle musicians, Kevin Martin told Mark Yarm, "We'd been in a band for about a year and a half, and some people felt that wasn't long enough, which never made any sense to me.
I
The
mean,
biggest
them
detractors
dressing up
were the
as
young
the
bands
girls,
that
was
weren't
that the
successful.
Lucy
They
album?
felt that we didn't really deserve it. We took a lot of in the city, and nobody ever stood up for us." Maverick issued the band's debut record, which is self-titled, in July
Good
of
album
93.
too.
Their label was really instrumental in setting up the record for success. In May of '93, several months before the album came out, Maverick
93.
set
I
out
want
a
to say
similar
that's about the
cassette to
time I saw
Candlebox's
them.
debut record, to both
93,
college
late
and
93,
independent radio
94
stations
ish.
to help build buzz around the record. It wasn't long after this that these stations started playing the group's songs. On top of
Oh
that,
yeah.
Maverick discounted the first 150,000 copies
I mean, I think
of
all
their
that
debut
spring
album
and
to
summer, that's all you
$11.99 on
heard,
CD and $6.98 on cassette, boosting initial record sales. Couple this with heavy play on MTV's specialty
Not for us that was in the know. We waited a little bit later and got it through the old Columbia House special.
programs like Headbangers Ball and Alternative
Headbangers
Nation.
Ball.
Soon, radio stations in Seattle, Baltimore, Boston, Denver, and Tampa Bay started playing
Yeah, I think
Candlebox.
that's where I caught on
Despite
to
all the
'em,
hate they got from fellow
the
Seattle
Tampa
bands,
markets
they
and the
did get
Virginia
support
Beach
from local radio
markets.
station
Because I was
KISW,
living in
who played
between
a lot
states
of the
then.
band's music. A spokesman for the station told Billboard magazine, "People respond to Candlebox because they're very passionate.
Oh, they
Music is
jam, and
rock
the
and roll,
singer
not
can
a
sing.
formula they were going by.
They got their own kind, like, yeah, I'd say they got their own type of formula. They really can't circle them into the grunge thing, only because, you know, by proxy of that's where they lived.
Album-oriented rock formats. The first single from the album, Change.
Oh man, I didn't know that was their first single. I always thought Far Behind was.
It was an odd choice for a single, given that
Right?
the runtime was over 6 minutes.
Yeah, it was a pretty long song.
The band's label was also against issuing it as the first single, but the band got their way.
Stop letting them increase your rates.
You're kidding me.
I used to let them raise
Even
my
with like a
insurance every
10-minute
year
video,
until I
there's
found
like
this huge loophole
3
that insurance companies
ads.
don't want you to know about.
What do you know? You just got to pay the bills, right? Whoa.
The next single that was issued was You, which was a song about frontman Kevin Martin's own experience with drug addiction, recalling how he had stolen money from his parents to buy drugs when he was in high school.
I've done that
At the
before.
age of
It's a
18,
big deal.
He had a moment of clarity. After seeing Midnight Oil in concert, he soon paid his parents back, and the song became the group's first crossover hit, peaking at number 78 on the
He's
Hot
gonna
100 chart,
give it
and number
back.
6
He's
on the
going to
mainstream
pay
rock
his
chart.
share. Yeah, I think this is the video that Beavis and Butthead
The
were
video
ripping
also
on.
had a big name behind it, and director Samuel Baer, who you guys might remember as being the director behind
Not to
Smells
be
Like Teen
confused
Spirit,
with the Man Bear.
Zombie, as well as No Rain, and a bunch of other early 90s staples.
Oh man, now that's a freaking video they played the ever-loving crap out of. Man, now yes, that's a cool song too. The Bee Girl.
Despite the early success of their debut album, the band held back what they thought was going to be a big
Man, them
single,
videos brought
wanting to
back
have
some
a slow
memories,
build for
yo.
the record. That song was Far Behind, which
Yeah.
was number 18 on the Hot
I
100
think
chart,
that was one of
and
their
number
high. I
4
think
on the
that was
mainstream rock
actually
chart,
their highest selling
number
song.
7 on the alternative airplay chart.
Remember freaking getting this song on a video sampler that had
The song was written as a
Napalm
tribute to
Death,
Andrew
Stone
Wood,
Temple
and
Pilots,
One Love Boat
and
Malfunction, and it was also
oh
written
man,
by
it had
Martin's
other
own
kind of
friends that
songs
he had
on it, but it
lost
also
to
had Far
addiction,
Behind
as well
on
as
it.
himself. Far Behind was the single that
You know, I
catapulted
could
the
see
album
that
into
kind
the
of
stratosphere.
lyrics and
The
song
year it was
content
released,
being dealing with
Candlebox
like
record
you know,
went double platinum, and the
addictions
group
and
wasn't done
hardships
yet.
in
The
life.
fourth and final single, Cover Me, peaked at
Oh
number 23
man,
on the alternative airplay
yes.
chart,
Now that's
and
the
number 8 on
jam.
the mainstream rock tracks chart. The album remained on the charts for a whopping 2 years and went on to sell
Yeah.
4 million copies in the States. The group's album went on to sell 300,000 copies just in the state of Washington alone. People loved Candlebox so much that even their bootlegs started showing up at radio conventions, with one being named the last great Seattle band.
Oh yeah,
Candlebox
man.
also won Best New
When
Band
you're that
at the
hot, you're gonna have
Magazine's
some. You're gonna
1994
have some
Reader's Choice
biters.
Award. But most of the reviews about their debut album were not positive. Even Billboard magazine slammed the band, writing initially, "The band doesn't know
Hey,
whether
haters
they're
gonna hate."
Soundgarden, Extreme, or Led Zeppelin. They have no commercial success headed their way." Other reviewers criticized the group for lacking originality, and critics derided the band for being derivative. Even though they got heavy play on MTV, Beavis and Butthead didn't have much respect either.
Oh,
Sounds pretty cool for Ugly Kid Joe.
ugly kid chode.
Well, it's ugly.
Candlebox toured relentlessly in support of their debut album, initially opening for Living Colour, Rush, as well as Metallica.
Nice.
In fact, another thing that greatly helped the band was the turmoil in Alice in Chains. The band, having released their Jar of Flies EP in early '94, were poised to tour with Metallica. In
That
the
was
summer
an
of
okay
94,
album.
In addition to playing Woodstock, but Alice had to back out due to frontman Lane Staley's personal problems. Candlebox took Alice's spot for the highly anticipated Metallica summer tour and the Woodstock appearance.
Heck yeah.
Metallica shows also featured Suicidal Tendencies, and
What?
admitted that
Those guys kick
the Metallica
ass.
crowds were pretty
ST
indifferent
for
towards them,
life,
and
fool.
Suicidal Tendencies Mike Muir wasn't exactly
Yeah,
from
Suicico
Mercado.
Myco.
Drummer Scott Mercado revealed that he was
Yeah.
friends with Alice in Chains drummer Sean Kinney, but despite the relationship,
Got that easy listening shit for the heart of the mother hearing.
He told me, "I like your style. You're a great drummer. I just don't like your singer. I don't like your music." I admired Sean for saying that as opposed to talking about us behind my back.
Right, at least he was
By
straight up and,
Candlebox
you know,
started headlining their
not
own
crap
shows
on him behind his
alongside groups
back
like
type
the Flaming Lips.
stuff, yeah.
Even Flaming Lips didn't give the band
Oh
much.
no, it's the.
Frontman Wayne
What
Coyne
the heck
joined
does he have around his eyeballs?
Nail in the coffin for grunge. coffee
What is that,
for
rhinestones?
We toured with them for 3 months at the end of
Like a
1994.
rhinestone camber.
Phase, they were playing 4,000 to 5,000 people a night. And by the end, they were playing giant arenas, hockey rinks for the most
On
part.
a rodeo. Dang, that guy's gotten old too. I can remember him. He was the She Wears Tangerine, or yeah, the Tangerine guy. Man, he's gotten old.
By the end of their first major tour, the band just seemed burnt out and scared of what was to come next for them.
I could see, I could see how they could be scared about how do you match the success of such a bitchin' album.
Commercial high for the band that they'd never be able to replicate.
Exactly. I mean, I think they had their second album was Lucy, and I think they only had like one good song on it, and the video consisted him being caught like a fish and beat down when they brought him up with a net or something. It was a pretty strange video.
That does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section.
And just like how my man says, that's the end of the video. I hope y'all guys like the footage. Please like and subscribe to the content. Just, it's almost like what he said, man. But no, I'll probably be doing a little bit more like these. More to come. Music reviews on Fridays as always. And freaking have a Merry Christmas. I know it's Christmas Eve, but I hope everyone has a splendid holidays, and let's keep it cheerful out there, and more to come. Stay tuned.